to make any assumption. And my question to you all is, how are you coping? And just I've thrown this question out to get some response from you all 105 of us. How are we coping? And the floor is open for comments and so on. My co-presenter in the room, Jackie, pointed to me and said, I should share with you how am I coping, yes? And yeah, and I think it's important for me to open and share because, you know, initially when the pandemic started, I had days of anxiety. There were days I had panic attacks and I had to contain that. I had days of fear, intense fear, expecting horrendous numbers of persons to fall. And I watched television and I saw what was happening in other countries and there were frightening moments. How am I feeling today? A bit more relieved, but still uncertain, you know, as one tries to grapple with the pandemic and to adjust to the new normal. It's a lot of uncertainty, fear, concerns, and very often, you know, one feels disoriented. You're trying to connect with the past, what used to be, to deal with the present. And you're trying to grapple with what will the future be. Having shared with you, I want to hear from you. How are you coping? What has been your experience? And the floor is open to comments.
So, Prof, I'm going to read some of the comments that have come in so far.
Sure, let me hear some of them.
So you can know exactly some of the feedback. So Joy says that she's coping by managing her exposure to the negative news and deaths. Denise says, I'm coping well.
Joy says she's managing her exposure to news.
Yes, negative news and deaths. Mm-hmm. Denise says, I'm coping well surprisingly because I am a warrior. Sometimes there is uncertainty. Thank you all for sharing so vulnerably too.
Could you repeat that? What Denise said?
She says, I'm coping well surprisingly because I am a warrior. And then she adds that sometimes there is uncertainty.
So for Denise, she's coping well, but she's also dealing with uncertainties. Yes. Anybody else?
One person sharing that they lost a loved one. And I'm loving how our viewers are already extending condolences to Daryl.
Yes, and I too must share with the viewers and just extend our condolences as a group to the viewer who has lost a loved one, because, you know, this is a very common experience during these times. I too have lost friends, colleagues during the period. And you know something, when we lose someone or we lose anything, our emotional response to that is grief, yes? And you find that a very common part of the whole experience during these times is actually dealing with our grief and dealing with grieving. And I'll come back to this at some point in time. So really, I thank you for sharing that personal experience with us. And we want to hear from other persons as the number of participants increase. We're about 132. Let's hear from you. This is intended to be for all of us, for us to share our thoughts and how we're feeling. Because, you know, during these difficult times, these difficult times will impact on all of us emotionally. And I just want us to remind ourselves that human beings, as human beings, we operate on feelings, yes? And we're all going to have some emotional experience. We cannot come out of this pandemic without some emotional experience. And so we want us to come to terms with these feelings so that we can help each other to work through these.
Prof, a couple of other comments came in, so they're really responding to you. I'm seeing Stephanie saying, no, not Stephanie. I'm seeing someone saying, trying to deal with the new normal as best I can. That's Denise. Stefan says, optimistic on some days and numb on others.
Can we hold that? I mean, that's interesting. So then he said that she's trying to adjust to the new normal. So for lots of us, it's really going through adjustment process. Mm-hmm. And then another person pointed out that what? Up some days?
Optimistic on some and numb on others.
And you know, that is so common in many persons' experience. What we find is that we're going through emotional roller coaster. Mm-hmm. There are good days and there are bad days and there are down days. In other words, there are sunny days and there are cloudy days and rainy days, yes? Yes. And we a lot of us will find that we do go through this emotional roller coaster. And I just want to pause to remind us that it's okay. It's okay. It's okay not to be okay sometimes, you know? So when you're having your bad days, don't be hard on yourself. Just remember, it's okay not to be okay sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I'm seeing one viewer, Prof, sharing with us a coping tip. So Duncan says, exercise has helped me a lot, staying active and going on walks.
Thank you very much, Duncan, for that. You've given us a valuable tip, which is exercise, going for a walk, staying active, right? Mm-hmm. And you know, and therein lies some of the challenge we face because, you know, this is a period where we have to be physically distancing ourselves. Some people have experienced lockdown, shutdown, quarantine, whatever term we use. Many of us have gone through periods where we've really been confined to our homes, and it's been very difficult to actually maintain our usual levels of activity. The gym closed, parks and public places closed. And it's so important for us to just find creative ways to just keep ourselves active. So thanks for that again, Duncan.
Prof, I want to raise this issue. I'm seeing Olivine mentioning that she has her ups and downs. She says panic attacks more frequently, but the uncertainties now, especially with many looking to you for answers, it's putting on new weight and pressure. So that pressure of supporting others, Prof. What kind of tips, you know, can we share with persons who are, you know, the strong ones in their family? Because, you know, Jamaicans tend to really, you know, pride ourselves on being strong people, but sometimes the weight of other people's expectations and their needs can become overwhelming as well.
Yes, Olivine, thanks again. And we acknowledge the ups and downs, the kind of emotional roller coaster that many of us go through. And again, you raise the issue about uncertainty. And you know, these ups and downs and these uncertainties will generate a lot of anxiety and panic attack. And so I'm not surprised that some of us, like myself, would have had some panic attacks. And during when I switch over to the PowerPoint presentation, if we have time, I'll have to share with us tips in terms of how we can deal with panic attacks. So if you find I haven't dealt with it, please shoot a reminder to me to go through that quickly.
All right.
Yes.
And while you're heading into the presentation, we now have the results of the poll.
Yes.
So if you could just allow me to share my screen so that
sure.
we can have a look at it. Yes. All right. Not this one. This one. All right. So the first question that the respondees got was, how would you describe your current mood? And we're seeing about 7%, 9% of our audience saying they're feeling miserable on today. 11% saying sad, 69% okay, and 11 happy. So that's one of them, one question. So that's to give a general sense of how people are doing right now.
You know, that is interesting because 70%, the majority of us are saying that we're, actually okay. And I have to commend us because it speaks to our resilience as a people, that as we come through these difficult times, we're beginning to bounce back and to get ourselves together. And I really want you to commend you. And maybe during the whole process, while I'm actually making my presentation, feel free to interrupt and to make comments and share with me, because I don't pretend to have the answers. I mean, all the answers. I'm merely a guide. I'm not perfect. And so we're open to feedback and comments. We want this thing to be very interactive and very highly involved as we proceed with the presentation. Anybody else? Anybody else having any thoughts, any challenges as we've gone through this period?
So I'm seeing another comment here from Hadia. Hadia says, I'm separated from my family as I am a student overseas and keep wondering if I'll be able to see them soon. How do I navigate some of those feelings of sadness, depression, and even joy about some of the more positive things happening on this side?
You know, Kadia, where are you located? If you could just let us know, get a sense of where you are. But what we hear you saying is that you are separated from family and friends. And I know it must be very difficult. And for many persons, the sense of isolation, separation from family, friends is a major challenge, right? And we deal with it. I mean, it's not only about isolation, just from family, friends, but for persons this morning. Recently, I was doing a session, and in the session, somebody shared with us that a family member was sick, and that family member eventually died, but during those moments, that person died alone. They were left to die alone because nobody could visit. And that's a recurrent issue about isolation, people being ill, people dying alone, people just being alone at home and so on. And what the pandemic has certainly highlighted is the fact that we need each other, and we need to be there for each other.
Absolutely. Kadia is in Pennsylvania, by the way, Prof.
Okay, how is it in Pennsylvania? I hope the weather is fine today. But thanks for reaching out and thanks for joining and sharing. We really appreciate that.
I just want to pause here to make special welcome of Mr. Earl Jarrett, the CEO of the JN Group Limited. And he has asked the question, how do we deal with the uncertainty of potential job cuts?
Maybe that should have been a question I asked Mr. Jarrett. but before, before I get to that, to answer that, I just want to, I know that the Jamaica National family has also experienced a loss, Oliver Clark, and we just, as a group, just want to extend to you as a family our profound condolences, during this difficult period. And, to let you all know that we're here to support and to lift up the JN family. But how do we deal with the uncertainty? I hope I could find an easy answer to that. But what we do really know is that these are really uncertain times. And as we adjust to the new normal, a lot of us do not know what to expect in the future. For many persons, they're dealing with, many persons have been laid off, many persons have lost their jobs, many persons are confronted with that reality. That's a possibility as economies run into problem. And what can one say to persons? The best I can say, in these difficult and uncertain times is that tough times don't last, but tough people do, yes? And just to remind us of, that today we're one day closer to brighter and better days. And we just have to create the hope, reminding ourselves that we've gone as a world, as a community, as a country, as a people, we've gone through tough times in the past and we have survived. But I don't know if there's any other consolation. Maybe Mr. Jarrett, you can share some thoughts with us, because I know you're into job creation and all of that stuff. Yes, but I'm sure that's a challenge Mr. Jarrett is confronted with as he leads this great organization during these uncertain times. But obviously, one of the things that organizations will have to do is that they will have to change, right? The world tomorrow, the world next week is not going to be the world that it was yesterday or even today. And we'll have to respond to these realities and be creative and to create opportunities and opportunities for employment and so on.
Mm-hmm. So Prof, I kind of want to frame the resources now, you know, to kind of match them to the feedback. So we have persons talking about the uncertainty, and the uncertainty goes across several different categories. The uncertainty of when will I see my family again, as Kadia pointed out. The uncertainty of possible salary cuts, as Mr. Jarrett pointed out. And so many other things, you know, going back into the working world because our work from home order is expiring on June 1st. So there are many variables that we're not sure about. And one of the things I'm hearing Prof say is that we should focus on what it is that we can control and extend, of course, the self-compassion part of it as well. It's okay to feel the fear of uncertainty. And then
it's actually normal and natural to feel that way at this point in time as we adjust to this new normal. You know, because I mean, these times are really uncertain and disorienting times, yes? Easy for us to lose our bearings and our sense of what next, where next, you know? And it's what it is. We have to recognize that these feelings are what they are. They are real as we experience them. And to remind ourselves, we're resilient people. We will get through.
Excellent. Prof, as it relates to the grief now, can we just frame some resources for our audience who are experiencing grief? And I want to remind everybody too, that grief here is not only related to loss of loved ones to death, but we can grieve jobs lost, we can grieve relationships lost, and we can grieve even having had the chance or not to celebrate things like our graduations, you know, and travel plans and baby showers and that type of thing.
Yeah, one of the things that the pandemic has done is that it has created multiple losses. And personal for some people, it's loss of income, loss of job, loss in terms of our everyday routine, yes? Not being able to just get up in the morning, put on your clothes, go to work, loss of structure to your day. And in severe cases, loss of family, friends, loss in terms of the way we socialize. And, you know, every day I meet people, I say, boy, I miss just being able to just hug somebody or shake somebody's hands. But children in school, they're displaced and schools are closed and loss of their routine. For persons who have experienced death in their family or circle of friends, it's just loss in just our ability to grieve as we would have done it. You know, you can't have the wakes and the 9 nights anymore. The funeral rites and the burial rites have been suspended. You can't console and hug the persons who are grieving. You can't attend a funeral and meet people, which are important part of our whole grieving process, right? And so as we experience these multiple levels of loss and different losses, right? We need to remind ourselves that grieving is the way we respond to loss. A loss or, you know, multiple losses, we grieve. And it's important for me to just point out that it's normal and natural to grieve, yes? And so if you find that you're going through these experiencing these emotions and you're grieving, don't feel badly. Don't just remind yourself that it's normal and natural to have these experiences. Yes, it's just normal and natural. And chances are the vast majority of us have these experiences when we're grieving and we're responding to losses in one form or the other.
Right.
Go ahead, sorry.
I'm seeing Mr. Jarrett responding to your earlier question about ways in which we can manage the job losses. So Mr. Jarrett says, we have established a job bank within the JN Group. We have also provided suggestions for persons who have to find new ways to earn. So,
you know, thank you for that, Mr. Jarrett, because we have to commend your organization, because we look to persons like yourselves, business leaders and national leaders, to help us to create hope during these challenging times. So JN again must be commended for its leadership in this regards and for helping us to create hope and possibilities.
Absolutely. Prof, I now have the full poll results. That was just one question. So
go ahead.
We need to share them so that we can kind of help us to process what they are. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. You know, the technology takes some time, so just give me a little while. So we're seeing here, we went through question 1 already. Let's look at this one now. What are you looking forward to most from this session? And 74% tips for coping, 61% expert advice on life, COVID information 6%, access to private counseling 11. The other question, Prof, I feel good about my future. And we asked our respondents to answer yes or no. And 80% of our viewing audience said, yes, I'm feeling good about my future. That's a good sign, Prof. And 20%
yes.
not so much. Question 3, I'm taking steps to improve my relationship and achieve my goals. 93% says yes. I think we have the right people on our class this evening. 7% said no. And question 4 was, I am making plans for improving business or career. And 85% said yes, and 15% said no.
Thanks for sharing that. And while you were talking, somebody commented that she's actually an emergency room nurse. And I think the point she made was that I contracted COVID, so did my 71-year-old dad and my child. I'm homesick since March. And I just want to say thanks for sharing what must be a very painful and personal experience. And we just wish for you a speedy recovery. And while we wish that, we also want to pause and just thank you very much, because you are a frontline worker who has given, clearly given excellent service every day in the emergency room. And we just want to pause and just ask everybody to just give a round of applause to return it at this point in time, and all the other healthcare workers who have really sacrificed their time and everything to just keep us safe and keep this world a safe place. And so from the depth of our heart, thank you, and we wish you a speedy recovery.
Excellent. Prof, because I know that sometimes when we leave sessions like these, we leave feeling lifted, but sometimes we don't remember some of the specific things that we can draw on when we're having moments of anxiety. Can we get a little bit more practical now in terms of when I'm feeling anxious, what can I do?
All right, and so what I'm going to do is share my screen and go back to the presentation, because I also noticed that 74% of persons said they want to get some tips from this presentation. Absolutely. So you know something, I'm going to actually share with us some tips, since that's what we're requesting. Just give me a second as I... And you know, one of the, can you see the screen? Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Are you seeing it?
Yes, we are.
Okay. And you know, it's interesting that you're all asking for tips to cope and expert advice. And you know, as I said earlier, this COVID pandemic is unprecedented. We've never experienced anything like this in our lifetime, and maybe we'll never again experience anything like that. And there's absolutely no rule book. There's no rule book that we can work from. But what I will try to do is to share with us some tips this evening. And number one, just want to remind us that it's important that we prevent burnout. As we talk to people over the course of the past few weeks, people shared with us how, with the changes in their lives, they're actually finding themselves working hard. And I found this particular true for parents, especially those who have their children at home and they have to be, you know, one lady in a workshop she shared with us that she's working from home. She was sitting in front of her laptop and she had her baby in her hand, right? And she was saying, boy, I'm stressed out and I'm juggling all of these roles, right? And it is true. We have to be, for some of us, being home, We have to be manager, supervisor, we cook, we janitor, we teacher, we're everything. And it's important. And caregiver, but that's another one that people highlight, the multiple caregiving roles they're undertaking, looking after their family, themselves, the children, and their parents, and sometimes grandparents. And so it's important for us to just prevent burnout. And we have to look out for some of the common adjustment-related disorders, such as anxiety disorder, depression, and for some persons, it may even be post-traumatic stress disorder. And I will come back at some point in time to deal with how we can deal with the anxiety disorder issue. It's also important for us to remain positive, number two, and to, on a daily basis, just to do positive affirmation. And I'm going to pause, and wherever you are at this point in time, I want everybody to repeat with me. These are difficult times. I can't be perfect at everything. I'm doing my best. I'm probably very best. So everybody with me. These are difficult times. I can't be perfect at everything. I'm doing my best. Yes, and we have to you know, I pull from this because growing up, I would remember my grandmother at the end of every day, after having done fantastic work, she would look towards the heaven and she would say, when men on earth have done their best, angels in heaven can do no better. And I just have to remind us, we're doing our best. The fact that we're coping and we're so positive in this room, right? And just continue the positive affirmation. And it's good coming out of the group that we're positive, and I just remind us, this is not a time for us to engage in catastrophic thinking, right? Remind ourselves that we're all in this together and we will all get through this together. I know this is repeated day in, day out, but I just want us to just, wherever you are, just to repeat it again. We're all in this together and we will all get through this together. Then therein lies the hope that we will all get through this together. Another tip I'd like to share with us is that it's important for us to maintain structure in our lives. And I alluded to that earlier. You know, you get up in the morning, you go through your routine, just try and maintain some level of structure. What I've found to be useful for me is that I would have my bath, I'd put on my working clothes, go to my desk, and I would just operate if I'm on the job and be working. And just try as best as possible to just have some structure. I would schedule activities and just work through that. And just maintaining that structure, I find it, I found to just help to maintain my sanity. And so we encourage us to continue to establish our routines, set structure for ourselves, and very importantly, for those of us who have children at home, ensure that you work with your children and set structure for children. Children need structure, and it helps to get them organized. The other tip I want to share with us is to remember self-care. And I think it was Duncan who actually highlighted this, you know, what I call the big three in terms of self-care, the need for us to ensure that we're sleeping well. You know, these days it's very difficult, especially if you're spending a lot of time at home and you probably sleep during the days and you watch the news at night and you go to bed odd hours and you're waking up early in the morning and your sleep routine is disrupted. It's very important for us to, as we structure ourselves, to ensure that we are getting adequate sleep. And Duncan again was the one who maintained and emphasized the need for us to maintain activity. Just want to repeat that and reiterate it, that we must all try to maintain a fairly reasonable level of activity. And another of the big three is the diet. Because when you talk to everybody, everybody's cooking, everybody roasting chicken, everybody baking, things that we've not done in a long time, especially in the context where a lot of the restaurants and so on are closed and we're spending a lot of time at home. And so just remind us to just pay attention to our diet, you know, because that is also one of the big three and an important part of our self-care. And so, having said that, it's just a reminder for us to balance, and more balance to our lives during this period. The other point I want to remind us, and I think most of us know it, is that support matters. And that has come out clearly in the conversation that we've had this afternoon. And so I encourage us to continue to just keep in touch with family, friends, parents. For some of us are teachers with the children. You know, teachers tell me how much pressure they find themselves under at this point in time. I was talking to a teacher recently, and she said sometimes she's on the phone 10 o'clock in the night with the students and so on. And we just need to just reach out and just keep in touch with everybody. Older family members who might not have been able to come out in public and so on. Members of your church community, member of your social group, the Rotary Lions Club, right? Members of your work community. Let's just keep in touch and be supportive of each other. And an important part of the whole support process is to remind ourselves that there's a wealth of resources available online, a lot of mental health resources, and there are excellent material put out by the World Health Organization, which is who? UNICEF. They have a lot of material out for children. And a site I found very useful is a site called Teachers Pay Teachers. And they generate a lot of educational material and material that parents can use with their children at home. Exciting material that make the lessons come alive and interactive and so on. And they have a lot of free material. So check it out. Teachers Pay Teachers. You can Google it and it will come up.
I'm sharing it in the chat for everyone.
Yes, and you know, as we acknowledge the importance of support and just reaching out, right? Several weeks ago, I did a presentation and this seemed to have resonated a lot. So I'm going to ask us to join in a sing-along. All 166 of us participants, just to remind us how important for us to just reach out and just touch somebody's heart. Not somebody's hand, but we're going to, and while we do it, I want us to stretch our hands. Just stretch it across the globe. Cover Jamaica, cover your community, cover the entire worldwide community. And we're going to sing, reach out and touch somebody's heart, make this world a better place. Kamala, I think you can sing, you know, you wanted to lead us in the singing.
But Prof, I'm not sure which song this is.
Reach out, sing it to the song, reach out and touch somebody's hand, make this world a better.
Touch.
Yes, everybody, let's join in, yes.
Heart, make this world a better place. If you can, Prof, you catch me really off guard on this one.
Excellent voice, yes. Yes, and let's all just reach out and touch somebody's heart. And the people in the room with me are singing very well. Jackie, you should join us and sing. You have a wonderful voice, right? So we just reach out and touch somebody's heart, make this world a better place, right? We need each other during this time. And
so I have something to say to you.
Sure.
I just want us to remember that even though we're practicing social distance,
yes, right,
we don't have to be isolated. We don't have to be cut off. So even
absolutely,
physical distancing is what I prefer to say.
Yes.
Social. So we can still keep that link and keep the love flowing. Right.
Number 6, stay calm in the chaos. And here I'll deal with the anxiety and so on, right? You know, we've been spending a lot of time talking about emotions, right? And as we told you, as we said earlier, it's normal and natural to respond to everything that is happening, the uncertainty, the challenges, the chaos, the confusion at times with different emotional response. And it's important that we come to terms with our feelings. And it's important that we name it, we claim it and tame it. And I want everybody to repeat that with me. We're going to what? Name it, claim it, and tame it, our emotions. Very important because it's an important part of the whole process of dealing with emotions. And so we did an excellent job earlier, just naming our feelings. I mean, persons posted that they were feeling fearful, other persons anxious. I don't think anybody said frustration, but grief and loss came up a lot. Right, so we've been naming our feelings, and it's important that we do because, you know, one of the challenges we face as Caribbean people and Jamaicans is that we have difficulty just dealing with our feelings. and difficulty naming our emotions. In fact, if you ask a Jamaican out there, how you feel today, they say, I feel away, right? And there's no feelings, I feel away. We have to develop a vocabulary to express our feelings. And it's important for us to claim those feelings. In naming it, claiming it, you also express it. And a technique that we can use is called the iMessage technique. So for example, I had a tough day today and I was feeling overwhelmed. And instead of getting upset, angry with people, what I would say, I feel overwhelmed because I can't cope with working, teaching, and everything. And what I really want is some help, please. There are going to be days when you have your feelings. And if you don't manage it well, you're going to lash out at your friends, your colleagues, your spouse, your children. You go home and the homework is not done today again. And natural tendency is to just lash out at that child and say, you're not doing your homework, you're lazy, you're going to fail. And that what you're using is a lot of you message. And what, as a mother or father, a parent, you should do is to speak to that child using an iMessage. You're feeling disappointed that the homework is not done. You call your child and you say, look here, I'm feeling very disappointed because I notice the homework is not done. And really what I want is for you to make some effort to complete it. The workplace, somebody's working from home and you're expecting them to complete a document. And as a boss, supervisor, how do you feel? You'd feel upset, angry, disappointed. And rather than calling and getting upset with them and telling them how unreliable they are and not consistent, just express to them how you feel. I'm feeling very concerned. I'm feeling disappointed because the document was not sent to me. And really what I want is that if you're having difficulty to call, discuss it with me or make greater effort and send it to me. So claim our feelings and express them. This is a wonderful technique to use. It's called the iMessage technique. And if you work it, you know, it works. You'll find that you'll improve your communication, relationship with your family members, and it helps to cut down on the tension at home, especially during these difficult times. So iMessage, yes. Yes, and it prevents us from becoming defensive and that sort of thing. So practice this iMessage technique, and you can Google it and expand on it. And taming it is just keeping yourself calm in the chaos. And many of us have different techniques. Some people it's meditation, some people tell me prayer, or some people just go outdoor and they do their gardening or they sit with family members. But one useful technique to manage your anxiety during this period is actually to do what we call the deep breathing technique, where you just sit quietly wherever you are and just breathe slowly through your nostril, hold your breath, and breathe slowly out through your mouth. And you just keep repeating that over and over. In fact, since I'm almost near the end of my presentation, I'm going to ask all of us to sit wherever we are. And I'm in my chair, I'm going to sit back, I'm going to hold on to the handle of the chair, and I'm planting my feet, sole of my feet on the floor. Yes, comfortable carpet in one of the rooms here at Jamaica National. And as I do so, I'm going to breathe slowly through my nostril, hold my breath, and as I'm breathing, I'm just focusing on the air going down. That's all you need to do, just focus on the air going down. And you breathe out through your mouth. So let's do that. In through our nostril, hold our breath, and we breathe out through the mouth, and we relax ourselves and keep ourselves calm and focus on that air as we're breathing in and out. And so I'm going to encourage us to just practice that. And it works if you work it. You're going to find it's an excellent and useful technique to manage anxiety. What you say about that, Kamala? I'm sure you practice that a lot and you encourage your clients to do that.
Absolutely. Breathing from the diaphragm, from the belly, as opposed to from the chest, that so many of us are used to doing.
That's right, right. So the deep breathing exercise, useful technique. And number 7, as I come to an end, tip number 7, you asked for them, we share them with you, is that it's just a reminder to all of us to survive, please. I need you to survive, you know? And in thinking about that, just want to share with us, especially to those of us who are parents, a message from a little boy. And he said, if I were born with all my knowledge at birth, I would have said to my parents, especially during these COVID times, something like this: push, but do not shove. Talk, but do not scream. Teach, but do not lecture. Hold me, but do not pull me. Guide, but do not take my place. Lastly, love me without measure. And so, parents, family members, remember during these difficult times to just continue to love the little ones and to love them without measure. And as I come to a close, this is a personal reminder to you all, especially parents. You know, I lost my mother when I was 6, and so I've learned to value parents, and I know what it is like not to grow up with a parent, a mother. And so I just want to just remind everybody out there, I need you to survive, right? And so in closing, I'm going to share with us the song, I Need You to Survive. And I want all of us to join me in singing the song.
It's a bit low, Prof. Can everybody else hear?
Can sing along.
We're all a part of God's body. So let's just track the word and then we'll wrap up as we go along. Stand with me, agree with me. We're all a part of God's body.
Everybody, I need.
Prof. Abel, thank you so much.
Important to me. I need you to survive. Excellent.
Thank you so much, Prof. We are hearing the commendations coming in. Thank you for an excellent presentation. I'm hearing wonderful. I'm hearing job well done. So thank you for taking the time, Prof, to share with us. I'm glad that we delivered heartily on, our viewers' wish to have very practical tips to help us to move through. And thank you to all of you who have shared in the chat, about how it is that you personally are coping. And because of the nature of this session, I just want to share here that Jamaica National is again leading in such a powerful way in that they're offering JN members the chance to access counseling services, okay? So if it is that you are a JN member and you feel as though, even with the tips and the togetherness, and the resources that were shared here, if you need more support for the various issues that come up, then you can reach out to Family Life Ministries, and I'm going to be putting a telephone number in the chat for you. I'm going to just say it on here, and then I'm going to type it on. So the number is 876-926-8101. So this is one of the benefits of being a JN member, yes? And for those who are asking, what about those who are not JN members? There are other resources available locally by very qualified clinicians and practitioners. For example, the Jamaica Psychological Society is offering support to frontline workers in particular to help them manage all of what the pandemic is bringing forward, okay? So we give a big round of applause again to Prof. And I just want to highlight, the quality and the beauty of what JN has started in this live class series, and to have Mr. Jarrett, the Honorable Mr. Jarrett, joining us and leading from the front. I think it's really worthy of commendation as well. No.
And once again, just to remind people, I love you all. I need you to survive.
Excellent. Thank you, Prof. And please keep joining us for the rest of the series. You can jump on and you can share tips in the comments as, as they come up. So thank you for being here. and we will continue with the good energy and the healing, right? So Prof walked us through the psychosocial well-being part of the conversation, and I can see that it was awesome for everyone. And now we're going to segue very nicely into the managing of the money part of the story, the money-making aspect of it, all right? Especially from the standpoint of starting your own business, which is entrepreneurship. And I know it can be a very scary thing for many people to start their own business because there are so many risks. But I want to welcome this evening the very, very powerful Tracey-Ann Gutzmore to jump into our live class chair. And Tracey-Ann is the Managing Director of Gutzmore.
Hi.
Please tell them your company's name, Tracy. Introduce yourself, please. And
Hi, Kamala. Hi, JN Circle. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Tracey-Ann Gutzmore. I am the Director of Gutzmore Concepts Limited. All right, so we specialize in promotional products, but as you all know, because of what has been going on in recent times, you know, we have been affected, as I'm sure you all have been as well.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And can I just say how fabulous Tracey-Ann looks on this evening? Thank you for
that
class. We love the energy. All right, so Tracy.
Thank you, you as well.
Thank you so much. We have quite a number of attendees on here, right? Can I see the show of hands how many of you are entrepreneurs? How many of us here? And I see the numbers rising, okay? So Tracy, just give us a quick synopsis as to what made you decide to jump on this big adventure of starting your own company.
All right, well, to be honest, my background has always been in entrepreneurship, even from a young age, right? So for me, growing up, as I'm sure a lot of other persons, when I was younger, I used to lend my brother money and, you know, ask him for interest on top of that. That's how it started out. I was probably like 5 or 6 at the time, right? And then while I was going through school, because I grew up in an inner city community, my mom didn't have all the resources to send me to college by the time I got to college. So at that point, I started to work, right? So I worked with quite a few companies doing multiple things. I baked, you know, to help send me through school. I did nails, I did promotions, I did a whole host of things to assist with the process of going through tertiary level education. Now, while I was at university, I had started writing a business plan. Because my aim was, because of where I came from, I always wanted to get out of the community. And one way for me to get out would be to move myself financially, you know, out of where I was. And so I'd written a business plan, shelved it for a small time because I'd gotten a job with the airline. I worked with Caribbean Airlines, well, formerly Air Jamaica at the time. And, you know, it was a fabulous job. However, because of the uncertainty that was going on with the job, it pushed me to act on what my dream was because the business was already written and sitting down, waiting there for me to act on. So that was my catalyst, right? And so from that age, I was in my, let me not tell you my age right now, right? But from a young age, so I started out very young and we are in our 11 years of operating today.
Excellent. Congratulations on that note, because, you know, there is a very high number of companies that do not end up making it beyond 3 years. That's just the nature of entrepreneurship.
Right.
So obviously, Tracy, you are doing something right, and commendations are fully due to you. Yes?
Thank you so much. We try.
Yes. And so, especially now when there is a global crisis, Tracy, you know, a lot of people may look on Instagram, you know, Instagram entrepreneurs and assume that all is well, or assume so many things about so many of us.
Right.
Share with us what it has been like for you in the middle of this COVID-19 situation.
Okay, well, there are two sides to the story because you have myself, the person, and you have myself, the director. And so part of the challenge of being an entrepreneur is that you are the head cook, bottle washer for everything, right? And so the buck stops with you. So if persons who you lead are having challenges, it means I have that challenge, right? And so I have to be managing everybody else's well-being in addition to my own. And so that can be challenging when we are in uncertain times as we are right now. And initially it was difficult because we weren't sure what was happening. And to give you a little bit of a segment, when we were diagnosed with the first case, right back in March, I think it was that Wednesday or Thursday, I said to my staff members, guess what? I don't want to take the risk with them. We were going to close down from the following Monday. So everybody went home and we started working from home for those of us who were able to work from home. And so we've been home stationed for the past 2 months, basically. And so part of the challenge that I've been having is managing the money part of it, because a lot of the companies who we do business with, or other persons who we do business with, has stalled doing business because they are holding on to cash, or they're uncertain as to what's going on, and they're trying to manage their workforce as well. And so we've had to try and steady the float to not purge too much, but at the same time to make sure that everybody is happy. So for us, like most of our staff, I'd say about 70% of the staff that we have has been with us since inception. We have fabulous employees who we love as family members, not just as employees. We think we're a family, and that's how we act, and that's how we live. You know, and so for me, it was a challenging time trying to balance not earning, but at the same time, making sure that all the staff members were still comfortable, making sure that they're able to pay their mortgage, their rent, their lights, and their kids, you know, get food for them, that kind of thing, their health. And so that has been the challenge. But so far, we have been fortunate enough to be able to manage, you know, to this point. We're not sure how much longer we can go, you know, if we continue on the same vein. Right. However, because we are the type of people that we are, we have adjusted. And so even though our core business has not been doing great because of the economy right now, we have shifted to offering services and products that help persons right now. So we have done that in order to stay afloat and stay alive, because we think, you know, as people, we are all going through a journey right now, you know, and I'm a firm believer of not just, you know, going towards the destination, because we all know what the destination, the ultimate destination for everybody is. But what do we do in the meantime? So yes, it is tough. Yes, things are challenging, but we still have to appreciate the small, you know, little gems that come our way every single day. And so that's what we've been trying to do to this point.
Tracy, what I hear you say, I mean, you're dropping some very powerful gems, even in sharing your story broadly. And one of them that jumps out at me is the importance of learning how to pivot in the face of crises. Because your core business is one thing, but I hear you say that you have had to shift and be more, you know, more flexible in terms of providing services and products that are more in demand now, in order to keep, you know, to keep the cash can beefed up.
Exactly. Exactly. And so you're absolutely right. We have, I mean, to be honest, we have excellent staff members. And so everybody has jumped in, hands on deck, just making sure that we are all okay. And Wendel made a point, I wrote it down. He said that we'll all get through this together. Yes. And that stuck with me, because I was saying to myself, that's how I feel right now. Like, we're all pulling together to get through this together, and myself can't do it alone. And let me just tell everybody out there, if you are a business owner or if you're working for someone, don't take it for granted that that owner is always okay. I think we all have to pull together to make sure that we are all collectively okay, you know, at the end of the day and through it all.
I love that. And just to your credits, Tracy, I'm seeing Jason McNish in the comments saying that Gutzmore Concepts is a great company to do business with. Excellent customer service. So big up to you and your team.
Thank you.
So blowing me up.
Yeah. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate that.
And so that was a part of the thinking for JN Circle to create this space, because I love what I heard you say. Don't make assumptions in this time. You know, even the strongest among us, we need a shoulder to lean on. Right. And we need to check in every now and then also. And importantly, that's how we came up with the hashtag Thrive Together. So when you leave out of this session and you're sharing how awesome, you know, life class was today, please do use the hashtags JN Life Class, hashtag Thrive Together, JN Cares, and hashtag JN Strong. And I feel like, Tracy, you are embodying really, really awesomely tonight what it means to be strong. Not strong in the sense that, you know, I have no issues, I'm not challenged, but strong in the sense of admitting it, which is a very important part of resilience, admitting that I'm having challenges, but then thinking towards solution.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I agree. And I think out of one of the things that has, you know, come forefront to me is just realizing how much you can find in every situation. So sometimes it might seem as if it's far-fetched and, you know, it's not anywhere close, or you're thinking I'm too small, or, you know, I'm not big enough, or I'm not small enough, you're not even sure, but no matter what the situation is, there is an opportunity, right? And Sandra White says, name it, claim it, tame it. I agree, Sandra. For all of us, we need to claim the opportunity and move forward, you know, however small or large it is.
I love that. And, you know, a part of what has happened, based on what I'm hearing in the pandemic, is that the stability of the 9 to 5, you know, it's kind of not as stable anymore, because we realize that there are some circumstances which are bigger than us, which can cause shakeups. And so I'm always encouraging people, if it is that you have a skill that you can use, you can build it and refine it and shine it up nice, and you can earn from it, then now is the time to get out of the blocks and get that done. So Tracy, as we're about to transition to the next segment, could you just give us some tips for those who are on here who have some skills? You can bake, you can cook, right? You can talk nice, you can type quickly, you can sew masks, whatever it is. How can we move from idea into, you know, getting the money into the cash?
Okay, well, because this is being hosted by Jen, I saw some promos that were coming out, and just to segue into what I saw, I know that there are funding that's available, right, from the different entities, but Jen Small Business has a funding right now. I think it's the Lifeline loan or something like that, that they have, where you can use that to help propel your business. And there are many different ways. You can borrow from your family, your friends. I mean, you can start small, you can start as big as you want. But the fact of the matter is you just have to have the idea. So start with the idea first. And then once you start promoting it, pushing it out there, if it's a good product, you will find people who are interested in it. And then, you know, it will push from there. But the truth of the matter is, for me, once you think of something, nothing is too big, you know, for you to realize. And that's the first thing. We have to try and figure out, don't think about, you know, whether your name is X or you have this money or you come from that background. It doesn't matter. Yes. Really and truly, it doesn't. I'm testimony to that, because I don't, you know, for me, I'm not coming from the background of money or name or, you know, wealth in any sense. Well, family wealth, but, you know, not financial wealth. But I'm at this point. So it means once you have an idea, you just need to believe in it. You need to push it. You need to let it out, you know, into the universe, and, you know, it will grow.
I love that. You are a living, breathing testimony of what can be accomplished with a strong mindset, because I feel like so much of it comes from here. You know, it is perseverance in spite of the obstacles. That's what makes an entrepreneur, taking the risks and moving, even when you're getting the no's from people and the rejection letters.
Oh, I can tell you about that. And then that's the thing too. You have to have a thick skin, right? So don't worry. I mean, when people come to you and tell you, oh, this can't work, that can't work, I don't believe in that, or, you know, that can't make no money. If you believe in what you believe in, push it to the very end, you know, no matter what somebody else says, because you're going to hear the no's until all you need is one yes.
Yes.
Right? That's really what it is. You just need one. So you can hear a million no's, but when you get to that one yes, you feel almost vindicated for all the trials that you went through to get to that point, you know, so just keep doing it. Keep doing it. That's what I'd have to tell you. If you have that passion, just keep pushing, and just remember, enjoy the journey. So enjoy the ups, enjoy the downs. I'm gonna give you a little nugget, right? When I was in high school, I went to Alpha Academy. There was a sister there. I was 10, right? In first form. And I remember she always said to us, when we were praying, you thank the Lord for what you have, and you thank the Lord for what you don't have. And I kept saying to myself, why is she telling us to thank for what we don't have? Until I got older, and then you realize in everything, no matter how large or small, there is something to be thankful for. So we have to give thanks for everything, even now in the midst of the pandemic.
Yes, I love that. Gratitude is an absolute must, right? You got it perfect, right? Yeah? Tracy, thank you so much. The major takeaways from your segment are, in my mind, keep going. Just keep going. If you have that belief, you have that dream, show up for yourself and keep going, right? We're seeing some thank yous. Denise says, thanks for sharing, Tracy, great tips.
Thank you.
Enjoy the journey and be thankful. Thank you for that awesome wrap up. Do we have any questions for the fabulous Miss Gutzmore before we segue? And I'm hearing so much good feedback. Job well done, lovely, great presentation. Do we have any questions for Tracey-Ann? So I think they received, the energy, Tracy. And I just want to ask one question. Is there anybody here who is thinking seriously of moving intentionally, right, to start something entrepreneurial? I just want to get some commitment so we can hold you accountable for the next life class. Are you moving in that direction of, even if you have a job, getting what I call a side hustle or two, okay, to help us, help keep the economy going? Is anybody so inspired to make that move this evening? Thank you, Mr. Jarrett. He says great and inspiring. So Tracy, I'm hearing so much motivation associated with your name.
Yeah.
Hint, that another possible job.
No, I leave that to you and Wendel.
Yes. So I'm hearing Delroy saying he's planning to. So we have some people who are committing to it. And Sanya says, yes, I'm challenging myself.
Yes.
Excellent. Somebody says too much planning now. You know that disease.
No, there's nothing wrong with planning. The only time there's an issue is if you're planning and not implementing. So that's what you need to realize. Plan, that's great, but make sure that you're implementing in order to move.
Excellent. And we have a couple of people here saying that they want assistance with their business plans. And I'm pretty sure that the JN Small Business Loans is open to giving that support. So you've come to the right place at the right time to be able to get the resources to pivot. Right? I am so grateful. Maria says her spouse has a cook shop, not much going on now. So we have to figure out some ways that we can, beef it up, whether we try some deliveries.
Right. I was about to say that because then I realized there are some persons who are taking it sitting back. So you can take it sitting down or you can actually be proactive. So if you have a cook shop and nothing is going on for it, go online, use a delivery service. You have persons out there who can cook and really need a meal, but they're not willing to risk their lives or their family's lives to go out for it. So if you offer that service, they might very well purchase from you. So we have to use the opportunity now to pivot, using your core strengths to pivot into the new normal.
I love that. And I love that word pivot. It's important that we become, as flexible as we can in this time. I think that's what the future calls for all of us. I planned already. Tonight, it's all about action tomorrow.
Yay!
Thank you for that, Sandra. I'm getting so many awesome thank yous for you, the lovely Tracy-Ann.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Marcia says, I'm now doing an online course in teaching English so I can I can monetize my TESOL certification. It's the new normal. Yeah?
The new normal.
Exactly. Thank you so much for sharing, Tracy-Ann. And I wish you nothing but continued success. And I'm sure we're going to be hearing more from you, right?
Thank you.
In this season, okay?
Yes. All right. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you, guys. All the best.
Before you go, Tracy,
sure.
I'd like to offer at least one of our participants the chance to come on the microphone and share with a question that they may have for something specific as it relates to launching out. Yeah? Okay. I don't know if they want to probably focus it on the mindset part of it, how do you deal with difficult times, something. But let me see who on here. Thank you for that. Jillian says, please call us at JNSBL. We are excited to help our entrepreneurs. And the telephone number is in the chat, guys. So please make use of JN's excellent resources. So Marsha, I'd love to hear some more from you about what made you decide to go in this direction. That's Marsha Denny. Are you open to speaking up and telling us what motivated you? And I don't know if you have any specific question for Tracy-Ann as it relates to, flexing and pivoting in this new normal. She says, yes. Can we give her a microphone? Is she live? I'm so relying on our IT persons right now. So let me see, Marsha. I think that's Marsha coming on now. Can you hear us? You're here? We want to get you to be able to speak so that we can all hear your lovely voice. Could you please unmute your microphone, Marsha? I think that's the one thing keeping us from hearing you now. Microphone 1, 2. No? Marsha, are you seeing the option to unmute your mic? I think we're having a little bit of a challenge with getting Marsha live.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
I finally found the option. Well, many years ago, many years ago, like 15 or so years ago, I actually taught English in Japan as a part of the JET program. And during that time for 3 years, I actually got certified to teach English to speakers of other languages. So I came home in 2005, and all these years I've been working, and I keep thinking I'm going to monetize my teaching English on either online or in person, and I keep putting it off. So now I'm saying, no, I have to. So I've been doing some courses online to brush up on my teaching skills so that I can move into monetizing. I've created my logo. So now I need to move into creating my flyer to promote my services so I can start teaching online.
Right. Excellent. Job well done. And
yes.
Do you have anything specific that you'd like to get Tracy's feedback on, or, you know?
Yes. I need to get out of my head and get going. That is part of the issue. I'm thinking about it. I know what I want to do. I want to teach more adults as opposed to children. But at the same time, I just need to step over that line. I keep defeating my own self by just thinking about it and not doing. So what
is holding you back? You're thinking about it, but what is the fear? What's the fear? Because I hear fear in your voice.
Like I might not be maybe good enough. Although I keep saying I'm enough, and I'm doing my affirmations every day. I'm like, will I be good at it? Will I? So it's just kind of trying to get out of my own way, but I can't figure it out.
All right. Here's my advice. I'm not a professional, right?
Okay. No
in terms of us from a psychological aspect. However, my advice would be just start, lock your eyes, you know, whether it is, I'm not sure what platform you would use, but whatever the platform is that you've decided.
Like Zoom?
Right, so if you want to use Zoom.
I can use Zoom, yeah.
Right, so lock your eyes and just send the flyers out. I mean, no, you know, you can't go out and hand distribute flyers out.
No.
Physically, no. So, you know, you have to use the e-space, right?
Yes.
So whether it's social media or an ad or whatever it is, and just put it out there and see what the response is. Without getting the response, you won't get that feedback to say whether or not it makes sense or not. But you have to start to find out whether or not it makes sense. You can't determine beforehand without actually doing it.
Okay.
You understand? So if when you do it, the response is not what you want, you go back to the drawing board, you fine tune it, and you go again. But don't let, if it doesn't work and you fall on the ground, don't stay on the ground. Get up and go again. Right?
Okay.
Once you have life, you keep going.
Thank you very much.
I love that so much. I just want to read this comment that I think is so relevant to this part of the conversation. Someone says, you will fail. You will fail, but that is a big part of it. Get out of your head, over the fear, and just start. And the part I want to highlight is the failing part, because oftentimes it's the fear of failing that keeps people from doing it. But failing isn't a bad thing, right? Failing is not a bad thing, Marsha, and to all our other attendees. If we fail forward, meaning we take the lessons, right, and we grow through the failure, then we're good to go, you know? So I love what Tracy said, and I want to read this other comment, another big up and affirmation for Tracey-Ann and Gutzmore Concepts. I think it was Rose who said it. Just today, I was looking for, hold on a minute, someone was searching for a digital thermometer and ended up at Gutzmore. I was wondering when Gutzmore started selling these.
Right. Thank you. So we're talking about pivoting. So we have pivoted into the personal protective equipment section because of our network of, you know, other suppliers, etc. And so we have had to do that in order to survive. So my advice is whatever you have to do to survive, once it's legal, obviously, and above board, you know, you need to do that. So if you're handy with your hands and you can sew, go ahead and sew. You know, if you can fix the roof, you know, fix your neighbor's roof. Right now, everybody is doing home improvement because they're home. So you can find opportunities. So my advice have to pivot because your line of work is not supporting your living situation right now, then pivot. There's nothing wrong with that, and nothing wrong with failure either. So if you pivot and it doesn't work, it just means you need to pivot again.
I love it. And a great quote from Steve Marbley is shared here by the lovely Rose in our comment section. Rose says, just start, Marsha. Just start, all of us.
Right.
An inch of movement will get you closer to your destination than a mile of intention. Just do it.
Exactly.
Just get it done, okay? Exactly. So thank you again. I love this convo. I feel like it needs to be a longer convo at another time. Because there's so much magic in, you know, sharing powerful stories and, you know, helping each other, you know, JN Strong kind of way to move from where we are into, you know, the brilliant future that we all can have. So thank you, Marsha. Let's raise our hands and give Marsha like 2 million high fives for being so great and for being so inspiring.
Right. I saw one question twice from Tony, and so I just wanted to answer her because I realized she really wanted to know. And she says she would like to know if I faced any challenges starting the business as a young woman. And Tony, absolutely yes. Right. I can say that from other companies as well who were in my line of business. You know, you had persons who were just hating on me because I was a woman, and then you have some persons who just hated on me because I was different. Because even to this day, I am different. My perspective on life is not necessarily the perspective of somebody else's. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? We have to all be unique in our own way. And so I faced, you know, backlash from different entities and avenues. However, that didn't deter me because I knew what I wanted. And nobody else can deter me from doing what I want to do. So if I want to continue, I'm going to continue. And that's what I did. And 11 years later, we're still here. So, you know, don't let the negativity of others pull you down. You can't stop them. You can only control yourself.
That's a big one too, because even the people that we love most, Tracey-Ann, will sometimes out of concern for us,
right,
have expressed that fear, and it can really be difficult to hear the concerns and still take action. So you have to believe in the dream, and you have to keep hope alive no matter what.
Right.
And thanks for the sharing a quote from Winston Churchill: "Success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts." You guys are killing it in the comment section.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. So Tracy, I want to say to be continued, right?
Yes.
Thank you for logging on to live class, and please stay on, right? Because we want the energy and the vibration.
Yes, I will. And thank you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in as well. I love it. And thank you to JN for the initiative. I believe it is, you know, it's fabulous and will do wonders for our souls.
Awesome. So next time when we come on, Marsha, we can just see if, Tracy, next time we come on, we can look out for Marsha and just kind of Marsha.
If Marsha started.
Yeah. How far you reached now, Marsha? What you've been doing in the last week? And we can lovingly hold her accountable, yeah?
Exactly.
So now I want us to reach over and open the door and welcome another one of our guests, our final guest for this evening, one of the JN brand ambassadors, Mr. Agent Sasco himself. We are so excited to have him in this space. Greetings, sir. Your microphone is off. We want to hear you.
Let me see.
Loud and clear.
Good. All right.
Yeah, we have one screen in the comment
a few seconds of fumbling before I can get these things to work. Always, like without fail.
Perseverance is the name of the game, right?
Amen.
All right. So we see Kadia in the comment section screaming that you're her favorite. So we already have crazy energy in the comment section, Sasco.
Kadia Hilton Fraser. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Check. All right. So Mr. Sasco, we're doing a check-in on everybody this evening who comes in to join us. How have you been during this COVID season? How have you been coping?
Taking it a day at a time and I made a decision at the onset that, you know, what my perspective was going to be and how I would be through this thing. And the things that I can't, you know, change or whatever, then I let them be. And then I just try to manage the things that I can. So I've been, you know, finding, you know, creative ways of passing the time. I'm running a 5K pretty much every day now. I'm doing work in the studio. I'm doing, as Tracy mentioned, work around the house and you know, a little bit of Dina discipline with the homeschooling thing.
Can't wait to hear more about that part of your job description.
Yeah, you know, finishing up this project that I'm working on, and all of that. So yeah, but like I've come to appreciate the power of managing your perspective, and like I said, I just chose to have this attitude towards it. Like, it's all good. And I'm a homebody anyway, so when you say stay at home, I'm like, all right.
You're good with that?
Yeah.
Excellent. So already Sasco is preaching some strong words. So we're hearing about the power of your mindset, your perspective, choosing to say, okay, let me focus on what I can control to help us get through, not only COVID, but just life and all the ups and downs that come with life. So
and what you can do, because control is one thing, but what you can do is something, totally different. And there is a power in understanding that, there's something that you can do about it. And the idea that things are not, like COVID is not happening to me, you know what I mean? Like in terms of, it's just happening. And, we can still, go through.
Yeah. So pretty much a winning mindset then, Sasco, not a victim mindset, but a winning mindset.
Well, well, if you want to call it that, I don't even give it a name. It just is. It's it's just the way to be. You do get to choose,
I love that. We do get to choose. Love it. So Sasco, obviously staying at home is not the most frustrating part of the quarantine for you, because you're a homebody, you said, right? But what do you miss the most from before quarantine time?
Just being able to connect with people, face to face, when there was no distancing, and yeah, just freedom of movement, and different activities. You can choose what you're going to do with your weekend, and it could be any list of things, so that freedom. I
think many people definitely can relate to that. I mean, we have to be mindful of curfew now and the changes in the curfew hours, and of course social distancing part is too real.
Yeah, it's it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as it relates to, your career, Sasco, I feel like most people associate you with consciousness and positivity. Yeah. As an inspired artist, what lessons do you think the world can take away from the pandemic? I hear a lot of people talking about the fact that one of the biggest lessons is how interconnected we all are as human beings, as humanity, and how much we need each other, Yeah. But I want to hear from you. What you think is one of the biggest lessons for us?
Well, let me say what the lessons have been for me, and maybe there are others who have taken the same lessons. So apart from being a homebody, I think I may be an old soul, because I'm finding that somehow the pace of quarantine and COVID time is almost more in alignment with, I guess, the pace at which my soul would like to be at. And even before COVID, I would, consciously disconnect from the treadmill every now and again, where I would just take a random Tuesday off. Like, guys, I'm just going to do whatever today, whatever project I have due, blah, blah, blah. I'll just disconnect from that and go in the garden and do something and just be. And, to understand that, the life of 2020 and the pace at which we're living, it might not be the most natural way to be. And so creating the life and a timetable that is more in alignment with how you want to be and the pace at which you want to live, you really can do that. And it might take some shuffling. I mean, the way my work is structured, I have more autonomy over that. But whatever it is, I'm sure people can eke out whatever time they can to do the things that they really want to do. And so that's the lesson I'm taking. And moving forward, I will build those times into my routine in a more deliberate way. So that's one thing. Next thing is how much we are interconnected, and we are not immune to the dynamic randomness of life, right? So you have to, I guess, in whatever way you can, be, I don't know, moderate in things that you need, where you need moderation. you know, if you need to go hard in a certain area of your life, go hard in that area. But just understand that, you know, maybe having a balance is always something to pursue, so that, you know, you're not adversely affected by things when they do come up, because things will happen. And so, you know, you're better prepared for it, that sort of thing. And as you're on the platform of JN, you know, I'm sure, you know, how you manage your finances is one thing you might want to look at, you know, being, and these things are more reminders than brand new notions anyway. So, you know, saving for the rainy day, diversifying your portfolio, you know, things like that, not all eggs in one basket. Like, these things have been around forever, right?
From primary school, we learn these things.
You know, so I guess it's just a matter of, being cognizant of them and reminding yourself that these aren't those things that people say, but, you know, there's truth and value in it.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Like, the first one that you hit was like a big point in terms of kind of figuring out, being intentional about figuring out what really works for you. And you use the phrase, Agent Sasco, of the treadmill, because so many of us are on that rat, you know, that kind of hamster wheel, and we just keep going, and we wonder why we're stressing and why we're burnt out. Exactly. And now COVID has kind of given us the chance to reflect, you know, and kind of figure out what works. And I want to share this quote that I came across that really aligns with what you just said. I don't know who said it, but the person said, "In our rush to return to normal, let's take the time."
I saw that today.
You saw it today?
Yeah, today. Of course, yeah. But yeah, read it for who haven't seen it. Sorry to cut you.
No problem. It says, "In our quest, in our rush to return to normal, let's take the time to figure out which parts of normal are worth returning to."
Yeah, or what your normal is. So so I'm defining my normal from here on. Absolutely.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. I see Prof. Abel raising his hand. Prof, we want to hear you. Is there a comment or a question that you want to jump in with and share with Sasco? We wait for Prof to run up on us. But I love it. So figuring out what your normal is important. And to kind of take some time and realize, as Sasco has been saying in so many different ways, that we do have a choice and we do have control. It's not always easy. And you mentioned that we can, you know, many of these things will require for us to shuffle some things around and really kind of prioritize what's really important to me, you know? So Sasco, you're killing it. Love it. All right. So in terms of the emotional responses to the conversation, to the issue of COVID. Sasco, I heard Prof. Abel say it earlier, and it has been my experience too as a psychologist, where I can sit across from young men, young Jamaican men, like high school and a little older. And let's say something happened, and I will ask them the typical psychologist question of how did that make you feel? Yeah? And Sasco, 99.99999% of the time, the answer is Miss Jano, me feel away, star. And then I have to take 15 deep breaths now and say, all right, what do we name where you feel, right? And then there is still a blank. And I have to then say to them, all right, how about these possible feeling words?
Oh, so they want a multiple choice.
Listen, because, so the point I'm making is that unfortunately, for some, we can't say for all, but for some of our Jamaican men in particular, boys and men, we don't have a culture of teaching them feeling words and making them feel okay with saying, I feel embarrassed, I feel scared, you know what I mean? I feel stressed out. So talk us through perhaps what has been your journey, or what kind of advice, like, you know, reason with the men who we may have on here and the women who are raising men in terms of that importance of healthy emotional expression.
Well, so in just managing my mood and mental space, and as a person who relies on my mental space for work, you know, and trying to stay creative, it has been something that has been, you know, I've taken a deliberate approach to, and yeah, it does come down a lot to sometimes you just feel away, right? You don't feel how you want to feel. You wake up and you just feel away, and just, you know, like for quite a while I used to say that I'm a moody person, right? And then mood, once again, is just away, right? Without defining what it is. And the scariest part of starting to move through that is to really name them. Because to some extent, you really don't want to name it because you don't want to face it. You know what I mean? So yeah, you might feel embarrassed, and you don't really want to face the fact that you're embarrassed and then have to go through all of that, and it can be very uncomfortable, and but trust me, the moment you find the freedom that it gives, and the fact that it's the first step in moving through whatever it is that you're feeling, then the more you will embrace, just deal with it. And even though you embrace it up to this day, I still find it uncomfortable, but it's like one of them things that it's uncomfortable to go through the process and whatever, but I know the function of it, so so I go through with it. But it took a while for me to get there. I mean, all through my 20s, I would be just riding that roller coaster of this mood and that mood, and not really dealing with them. But the moment when you can sit with it and really try to get to the root of it, like what really is, what even you might even have some interaction with someone, and you leave the interaction feeling away.
You feel off.
Yeah, and then you can just leave it at that, or you can really explore, what was uncomfortable. Why do I feel this way? If I'm feeling angry, what angered me, in that exchange? And then sometimes realizing what the anger is or whatever, that's also embarrassing. Like, but at least you know what it is, and you can do what you want to with it. You can hug it up, see me, and go and roll into the feeling, because some people like, if them vex, them want to vex a little more and just hold on and them vex, whatever, but at least you know what it is. Yeah. So my advice would be, try it out. Try it at least. So the next time you feel any way that you don't want to feel, try to get to the core of exactly what it is and what's causing it.
Boy, Sasco, you're dropping some powerful psychology upon us in this live this evening. I love it, right? Because, unfortunately, for some Jamaicans, when you hear the emotion and the feeling and the psychology, we just think extreme. We think that's something wrong with you, as opposed to what you are so powerfully putting into words, Sasco, is that it's if you don't process the feelings, then you can't go through it. You understand? In some way, you're stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and it builds up like plaque or residue, and it just dead until next thing you know, you're clogged up. And of course, people end up having nervous breakdowns, this and that, like, all manner of things. But I want to tell you, I find it worse than that are those who it kind of don't get to that stage, but they're like just festering, and it's like a sand grain in your shoe that you can never really be comfortable, because that's just always walking around with that thing, and it's just like constant discomfort. It's not. I choose to not have that be my experience, and also, to be fair, it came a big part of me going through that and dealing with that is having people close to me who wanted that for me as well, and would encourage me to seek some kind of intervention or attack it or face it, like, you can't continue to be like this, or you can't put it aside and chalk it up as whatever. You have to really do something different. But of course, that choice has to be yours. Ultimately, you have to really want whatever life you want for yourself. Once again, you get to choose that.
Listen, like this is so epic, and you're on point in so many ways. That key part of choice is, we can't escape it, because you can have a partner, you can have a mother, you can have a child, you can have a loved one who's saying to you, listen, I want you to level up, I want you to be better. But until I decide that, listen, I am going to make this choice my own, it's like bringing a horse to the water, but you can't force them to drink.
There you go. Like there is just so much wisdom in all of those proverbs, and we hear them all the time. So it's like you have the blueprint, but nobody wants to read the manuals anyway, right? Nobody reads the instructions. You just try it.
Yeah.
Freestyle your way through it.
I know, I
I
mean,
guess it's the same thing.
yeah. And I feel like the crisis now, Sasco, is really teaching us that, listen, we have to examine some things and stop taking everything as normal, you know? Because I know many people are now in close quarters with their loved ones. And so that kind of moodiness, that kind of not facing and not talking about stuff, everything gets under the carpet, that can create a whole host of situations, which we're going to be talking about in some of the next sessions, you know what I mean? In terms of why it don't work and why it's not healthy, why it's important to kind of pivot in that regard. I see a question, but I'll take it in a few minutes. So Sasco, we're talking about, to some extent, men and emotions and, you know, speaking up and owning our feelings and making choices. In your capacity as a father, and a father of both a daughter and a son.
Two daughters and a son.
So, sorry, 2 daughters and a son, yeah. Especially as it relates to raising a future man, right? What are some of the things that you may have been intentional about at the start of your journey in terms of teaching your daughters and your son, but especially your son, about, you know, owning your feelings, being expressive, being autonomous, but respectful, you know, like the balancing act in terms of being emotionally well?
I think a lot of that. Well, first of all, he has in a immediate older sibling, Lauren, who is very, very emotionally intelligent. Like, you know, she really is like a grandma, you know. And so she would be the one being there, Joshua, no, you have to name it to claim. Like, she have something what she tell him, you know. So there is he's already, you know, getting the example of, you know, expressing himself, and let me tell you, the man have a vocabulary that is quite impressive, and he's very, like, he has, like, you know, watching them grow and you know, develop, like, you know, their personalities and things, like, he loves to express himself, and, you know, he's really eloquent, and, you know, so that fortunately it hasn't been such a, you know, a task to get him to do that. Once again, because, you know, Lauren is there with the way how she goes about her thing, and then Ali as his elder sisters, you know, similarly, you know, she'll express herself, and so it's not been difficult with him.
Excellent, I love it. Sasco, in terms of you mentioned earlier, and I love the way you put it, you mentioned that your headspace is pretty much what you use to, you know, to work. That's where your passion flows out into productivity and profitability. Yeah. If at all, how has the pandemic affected your creativity? Are you writing more? Are you feeling more vibes, more inspiration? How has it been?
No, I mean, like I say, you know, my routine in terms of, you know, what I do on a daily basis, if I'm not traveling, is exactly what I'm doing now. Outside of, like, and then not really, because my days would still consist of going to the hardware store for this or for that, or, you know, like, I'm still able to do those things. You know, so I'm not forced to be much different from what my routine would be. But, you know, for one main difference, instead of going to the gym, I'm now running. And then that is kind of helpful to the process, because I'm running with headphones. I might be listening to a track. I'm listening to a demo that I did the day before, thinking about how I want to change things. And there's a certain peace and, you know, tranquility that, you know, that comes along with running, and especially where I'm running as well. It's just very green, and, you know, it's awesome in the morning. So there is that, you know, difference. But outside of that, creatively, my process has pretty much been the same. Yeah.
Excellent. I love that. And I hear you tapping into the importance too of, you know, the self-care tips. You know, do something, get your heart rate pumping, move your body intentionally, and, you know, go to some pleasant spaces if it's safe to do so, because that really helps with managing not only creativity and focus, but the general sense of well-being. Yeah.
And even the chemical value of it, in terms of, you know, what do you call it, endorphins, and all of those things, and, you know, and like, you really, like, I feel like, especially when you don't want to go, like, you have some mornings where you come and be like, all right, take today off, and you know, you force yourself. Like, let me tell you, if you really feel proud of yourself when you complete something like that, and so it naturally, builds your vibe. And then, of course, it's not bad to shed a few pounds while you're at it.
Especially when we live in close to the fridge, right?
Yeah, to make up for all of the COVID snacking. Trust me, that's been a task. Let me tell you, if I was running in the mornings, oh boy.
You'd be a different looking Sasco.
Yeah, I'd be fat Scott.
I love it. So thank God for the jogging, because you'd have to get a new name, right? And the world wasn't prepared for that. So we're not prepared for Sasco. We reject it. So please keep up the activity. Right?
Yeah.
And I love what you said. Every time you exercise, after you do it, you wonder, why don't I do this more often? Because you really get that sense of, I can take on the world, I can do anything. It really makes you come alive, and it really makes you able to focus more. So for the tribe members who are on here, use up the coping tips, self-care. Get your body moving intentionally, because it does make a whole difference.
Yep.
So Sasco, you are known for Hope River, and I think right now everybody, when they think of Hope, the Hope River, they think of Sasco. Yeah, that is the power of your messaging and the power of the inspiration. What kind of, you've been dropping several throughout our converse so far, but do you have any dedicated encouragement, any tips to help people to just make it from now until whenever the quote-unquote new normal comes in?
I guess it comes down to doing whatever you can. Every day, no matter how small it is, just do what you can. And don't worry about what you can't do now and, this and that. There are always opportunities to find. Earlier, I was hearing someone talking about just being afraid to take the step because it might not be good enough, or things like that. One of the things that I've discovered, especially over the last couple of projects, being responsible for the last 2 albums myself, like I'm producing and and not I don't have to answer to a record company or anything. Like I'm fully doing it as I want to do it. And I realized that you can get really trapped in a cycle of is it ready yet? No, it's not ready yet. Let me tweak this. Let me tweak that. And I realized eventually, what? I'm just going to divorce the outcome. I don't care. Listen, I'm going to put this album out, and if nobody don't like it, so be it. I can always make another one and keep it moving. So just as Nike said, just do it. Just do something, and it's not the end of the world. Like, so what if you're supposed to put it up? People say, where I go with that? Like, so why I go spontaneously combust and die? No, you won't. So it's fine. But yeah, just do something, and especially if you can't do what it is that you used to do but for what let's say your office clothes or whatever activities you used to do that you can't pursue now, then do the ones that you really wanted to pursue all along that you didn't have the time to pursue, until such time. And then I guess more than anything is choose your perspective about this thing. Like, you can choose how to be. So choose to just relax and go through and understand that the rain not falling on your house top alone. It's a worldwide thing. You have people who literally lose their life in this time. And so just, try to manage your perspective.
Love it, Sasco. And we're going to open up the floor now for questions for the agents. Does anybody want to ask Mr. Sasco anything? Xavier says, how emotional, so this is for you now, boss. How emotional was it for you when writing that album? It seemed more emotional than the others, somewhat, to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I was, after recording one of the songs, I was playing it, and like early in the mornings, I like to, when it's quiet, I like to put on my noise canceling headphones and listen. You can really hear everything in the track, and it was like I cried listening to a couple of the songs. Especially losing my mother, and that album is very much about that time of my life. Even that picture there on the album cover, that I think that was my entrance picture for high school. And just going back to all of that, like it really was. That's coming from a very emotional place. Yeah, absolutely. And the album was recorded here in the studio at home, and I think also it allowed me to be more emotional because I'm in a space where, you know, I'm free and relaxed, and I was recording with people who were close to me as well. So, you know, you never, like, yeah, there was just that freedom and that energy came out in it.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Sasco, you were talking about the mindset and the intentionality earlier. Did it take a lot from you to decide to make it the way you wanted to make it? I mean, overcoming the fear of, will they think Sasco getting, I don't know, is this too different? Is this too soft? You know what I mean? Was there any of that fear in your headspace?
Well, I mean, not since I have, I guess best way to put it in today's kind of jargon is I've updated my software. So, and this is maybe, about 5 years ago now. That's when it started, and then it has been reinforced year after year. So like now when people still see me and say, yo, why don't you give a couple of them assassin tune there? And I know what they mean, because even on this project that I'm doing now, there's more assassin type content in terms of how I define the two characters, texture and things like that. And, you know, just even, you know, like Sasco is a more mature perspective, you know, assassin is, you know, brash or whatever. So I know to define them, but when people say that, I know what they mean. And I'm like, guys, I started my career at 17, man. I'm not gonna be, you know, I'm twice that age now. I can't be doing the same, you know what I mean? So, I frankly didn't care. And as a matter of fact, my worst experience with my musical journey so far came at a time when I wasn't doing what I really wanted to do, and I wasn't finding fulfillment in it. And when you're talking about naming the feeling, like years, I was not being fulfilled. I was having quote unquote success. But there was still this frustration and this feeling of, yeah, you just like, you know, like you can't figure it out, like, you know, what am I doing wrong? And really what I was doing wrong was not doing what I really wanted to do. I was doing little bits of it and half stepping, and, you know, but there was just no fulfillment in that. And the discomfort that I felt at that time, I thought I was moody, and then next thing you know, I was really depressed for a while. And the discomfort coming out of that, because I know what it is like to be that uncomfortable, it's easy to do what I really want to do, because I'm not going back to feeling like that for nobody. So if whatever I'm doing now is whack, well, so be it. I guess I'm whack then, and you know, that's that. But I'm not going back to feeling like that. I'm talking on one of the tracks on this project called Do Me Thing. The song says, "Do me thing and no care, yeah, man." Like that's what it says, because yeah, you know, there's freedom in that.
Listen, I hear you saying pretty much that you decided to choose yourself, to choose that you wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, don't get me wrong, even at that time, like in assassin years, I never went off the cliff or nothing. So for example, like I have no piercings and things like that, because, you know, at the onset, I decided what I was going to be and what I wasn't going to be. And even though year after year, people tell me, yo, Bridget, you need for 4 years, man, your image to this and that. And listen, I'm me, I'm sorry. So, you know, you have to just take what you get, and that's that. And in that also, finding out exactly, you know, how I am to really serve the people who care about what I do and how I do it, was also very powerful. So even the very tempo of the music that I do, like for example, a song like Banks of the Hope, it was deliberate that the song was at that tempo. We put your first and second and third, watch your blessings come forth. So you can actually hear the words and appreciate it. I said we're winning right now, like, you know what I mean? So learning things like that, like how to really interact better with my audience or people who want my kind of content. You know, they can't listen at the speed of some of the other rhythms, so it doesn't make sense to do all of that, you know what I mean? So, you know, things like that. So there is just great value in looking at something objectively and honestly and be with it.
Somebody in the comments bawling out that it's freedom. You really stepped into your own kind of freedom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Excellent. And I mean, look how well it translates. Like, I mean, the Hope River project is just you can sense that there's something really, really powerful about this.
It's authentic.
That's what it is. Excellently put. Yeah. I saw a question that I wanted to invite one of our attendees to come on the microphone and get a chance to ask Agent Sasco your question. I'm looking for it. I'm looking. Okay, so Xavier. No, not Xavier. So sorry, Xavier. Shawnette. Can we get Shawnette a microphone, please, so that she can ask her question? Because you mentioned about being the dean of discipline, and we cannot make you come off.
Hold on.
Before. And we're seeing some persons here just reiterating the fact that, you know, the Hope River album really gave them hope. So clearly the work, you know, the work was done by the authenticity and your intentionality too, about doing it the way you wanted to do. We have so many testimonials here about just the fact that Hope River was everything. All right. Yes. Shawnette, you're up. Miss Co-host, do you have a question for Sasco?
Yes, I do. Good evening, Kamala. Good evening, Agent Sasco.
Hi.
I'm pretty sure most of us parents wanted to know you mentioned when you started that you are the Dean of Discipline at home. And so I wanted to know how are you dealing or coping with homeschooling and being in the studio or working, being hobby, everything at once, but most importantly, dealing with homeschooling with the kids.
Right, so it's just a matter of, for the most part, keeping them on schedule. And the most difficult part of that is the fact that the very device that they're using for work is also the device that distracts them. So Lauren yesterday was supposed to be doing her work, and her mother just checked in on her, and she says, "Lauren, what are you doing? Is that a part of the work?" She was watching some videos about apes or something. She said, "Oh, no. And she get back. She said, I don't understand. Why aren't you doing your work?" She says, "I wasn't distracted, Mommy. I was fascinated."
Wow.
So it's a matter of, trying to keep them less fascinated, and focus on, and just employing, listen, all right, I know you want to go and ride the bike when you finish. So if you don't finish work by such and such a time, there's no riding of bikes. And, that what you want to do this weekend, that's off. So it's, things like that, and just keeping them online. 1 second. And can I get some water in the studio, please? Yes.
Next.
Yeah. And, just, check in and make sure that, that they stay on schedule. That's the most of it. But let me tell you, every day it's the same story. It's what are you doing now? You have PE now. Why are you not online now?
It's too much.
Let me tell you, big up all teachers. That's all I can say. Take them back, please.
Do we have any teachers on here? Just raise your hands in the comments. And Sasco send a big up for all of you, right? There the teachers go, Sasco. Much love and respect to all of you. And I just really want to add here before we take a question. I want to take a question from Miss Kadia. Please ready up yourself to come on mic, right? But I just want to share with all the parents on here. Even as you're trying to manage all of what's going on with the, you balancing working from home and balancing, being the dean or being the teacher or the co-teacher, whatever it is. I just want to remind us that especially if you aren't a trained teacher as well as a parent, have some self-compassion and have what my sister-in-law, Odie, refers to as flexpectations. Because the reality is that you will not be able to get them to do exactly what Miss Johnson at school is able to get them to do. No. You will not be able to get them to sit still for 5 hours per day, like every single day.
And they shouldn't either. I don't believe in that. Especially Joshua, him can't sit still. It's like him, so, understand that as well. As I said, flexpectation, I like that.
Yeah, I love it too. So, it's important for parents, don't beat yourselves up too much. You're doing your best. And in my estimation, now is the time.
And don't beat them up too much neither.
Huh?
Don't beat up yourself too much and don't beat them up either.
Listen, thank you very much. It's important too to remember that now is the time, it's a good time to try to fuse in the textbook learning. You understand? The book learning into real life. So things like teaching your children, depending on their age, teaching them how to count and do fractions. But I like doing some baking recipes, you know, teaching them how to manage money by putting together a shopping list, giving them an allowance. So make it practical and relatable, especially for the children whose learning styles are not, you know, auditory. We kind of talk to them every single day. Or they're not visual, where you can point them to a blackboard all the time. Make it interactive, make it fun. It doesn't always have to be about the tablet or the paper, you know?
Absolutely.
So flex on it and tell yourself that you're doing the best you can. All right, so we have a question from the effervescent Miss Kadia. Can we give her a mic and a seat in the live class so that she can talk some things onto Sasco? All right, Kadia, you can go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay, are you hearing me?
Hearing you loud and clear.
Okay, fantastic. Hi, Kamala, and hello, It and Sasco.
Hello.
Okay, I'm trying to get my heart to stop beating so fast. First of all, I just have to tell you that you...
Breathe, Kadia, breathe. We're here for you.
Okay, I'm trying to get past that part, but your album helped me through so much, and I just want to tell you thank you. That Hope River was my hope, and it literally it takes through so many dynamics, the vibes, but the reflective part and all of that, and I have just watched you every single year since that, and I'm just in awe of your intelligence, your depth, your connection to the music, and I just want to tell you thanks. But my question though is, how do you remain authentic to the things that you want and the goals that you have and sort of block out that external noise?
Well, again, thank you very much, Kadia, and I'm happy that you find all that you find in the work, and it really reinforces the motivation in it, and it's fulfillment for me as well. So I appreciate that. But in terms of, so people will see me all the time and first of all beg me not to change, like, yo, please, nobody change nothing, and things like that. And I think it goes back to knowing what it feels like to half step and not be 100%. I know what that feels like, and I will never deal with that discomfort again. And then on the other side, the fulfillment and just the satisfaction and the contentment and everything that comes along with, doing what is in alignment with my values and purpose and all of that. It's easy to choose that. It's like, are you gonna beat your head against a wall, or are you gonna have a soft pillow? Like it's that clear to me. It's just a very easy choice to make when, like I say, when you have experienced a little bit of, what not choosing that feels like.
I love that, because you see, sometimes rock bottom or something close to rock bottom can be a really powerful thing if we decide to grow through it. So I feel like you've taken, Sasco, the lessons of what, it felt like to be out of alignment with your, with your values and everything. You've taken it as your non-negotiable stance now. So listen, whether money or fame, I'm not going back to that space of living out of alignment.
And like I said, it was even at that time, and that's why I use the term half stepping, because like I never felt like I sold out on my values or nothing like that, but it was the half stepping, so when them say I forgot God and done, or do it and done, like you can't half step. Is it so there's that. I was gonna say something, I don't remember. Maybe it will come back to me anyhow.
So that's Sasco talking about blocking out the noise and just living authentically. Listen, this has been absolutely epic. I am so grateful to have had the convo that we had. I feel like we're about to end on a powerful note. I feel like nobody's trying to leave because the conversation is so good, right? But I want to point your attention to the poll to just kind of get a sense of how you felt before and then now how you feel as you're about to wrap it up on this powerful note of hope, right? So just jump in again and complete the poll and let us know how you're feeling now. So we can use it and guide us in terms of preparing for the next sessions, yeah? And somebody dropping a couple of your big your big words of you know, comfort and of wisdom tonight, Sasco. And somebody, Joyet, is saying she loved the one about updating your software.
Yeah, man.
That's
you can't run the same OS from them time there.
Listen, it's time to level up. Absolutely time to level up. And we absolutely have to big up JN, because a company like JN doing things like this, I think is absolutely amazing, to be honest.
No, of course. No, we salute them, and you know, things like these are so necessary at this time, and not just at this time in general, but you know, especially now. And I'm very happy to share and you know, to be a part of it.
Love it, love it, love it. Sasco, when you stay with us for a quick second, we're going to do a giveaway. So here's what we're going to do. I'm inviting, huh?
Yeah, man, good vibes.
Good vibes, yeah? But you guys have been amazing for staying through all of our speakers and engaging and interacting. Like, we love you. I see Marie saying JN is off the chain. Very uplifting during this lockdown. Love it, love it, love it. So here is the question now. That the answers to this question can give you the chance to win something fabulous. Okay? Something that will help you with your self-care. It's going to be a wellness box, and it's from my company, White Lotus Blooms Wellness Services. And it's a beautiful box, and it has a lot of amazing, mostly Jamaican products in there. So it's brand Jamaica all the way, right? So here's the question now. And Sasco is going to be the judge, because I'm not taking the heat for nothing tonight.
So,
all right?
Things I made answer and get a chance to win the box. What kind of?
Sasco, now bias that. We don't want nobody's two-way.
All right.
So the question is this. The first person, notice I said first, because we can't take every single response. There are 117 of you, we can't do it, because we have to go soon. The first person to put down five coping tips that have been working for you throughout this pandemic, Sasco will determine if in like the 5, or you put them on the paper, and then we will announce the winner. So after 3, 1, 2, 3, go. And please put all 5 in one post, in one comment in the chat. 5, you have to put 5.
All right, time up.
Time up. All right, so let me scroll up now and see what they're saying to us. I feel like I saw one person, I think it was Keva, who did like an amazing job. Let me see, she had 5. Sasco, you can see them, right?
Well,
boy, they're moving fast.
Yeah.
So you have to scroll up.
No, them people are skilled.
Listen.
All right.
They're still coming in.
All right, let me see. Okay, so the first one, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so the person that write 4, that Xavier Allen. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, Xavier, you're day late and $1 short.
Sorry, Xavier.
Olivine Burke. Okay, sleep, music, exercise, self-care, keep in contact. What kind of contact?
What kind of self-care?
Anyhow, all right.
Them hard.
This is music in there, so make me feel I want this. So I go shortlist that one there. That is work, reading, exercise, eat and sleep, meditate, sleep, breathe, exercise, eating healthy. All right, come like, fair enough. You said the first person, and I really can't argue against these, especially since music, exercise.
All right, so.
Music and exercise, yes. Sleep, self-care, keep in contact. All right, Olivine.
Olivine?
You're winning right now.
Listen, walking W. Olivine, big up yourself. Congratulations. You are the winner, Olivine. Listen carefully, because if you miss this, you miss the chance to actually get the prize in your hand, right? So Olivine, please send us a private message in the chat with your contact information. So go in the chat and select the down arrow and click to the panelist only, okay? And send us your telephone number, your full name, and maybe your address, so we can reach out to you, right, Olivine? And make sure you answer your phone when JN is calling on to you, all right? So let me see.
The people them who congratulating Olivine too. Clean out people them, they big them up. Kiva, big up yourself. Big up Denise Bolton, big up Carol Kelly, yes.
Love.
Christopher had film on there. Yeah, man. Clean out, we said. Big up Joy too.
Good energy all the way. I love it. All right. So we
Congrats, I'm rolling and now for rapid.
Everybody wants to big up Sasco.
Oh, you mean? Big up baby and big up God, it's Charlie. Then God no.
All right, let me share this with you real quick. Whoopsie. I want to show you the results of the poll so that we can get a sense of how, how we did tonight, what the impact of our talk tonight was like. And then we'll say all our goodbyes and we will share lots of love. And we will come back next week, Wednesday, for another amazing session. I promise you it's going to be off the chain. Are you seeing my screen?
Marie Matthews, is that Miss Marie Matthews from Nanga ATL? That big up. Mary Allen.
Are you guys able to see my screen? You can see it, Sasco, with the poll?
Oh, yeah, man. I'm happy. 72%. Yeah, that sound good.
Sound good, right? I'm happy I participated in it. So
oh no, 99%.
99. So we did
sorry.
Really right, JN family and Sasco, right? And Tracey-Ann and Prof. Abel. We did it tonight.
99%. That's an A on any scale.
A++. I feel good about my future 99% Sasco. So the words of hope obviously landed from Tracy to and from Prof, right? I'm taking steps to improve my relationships and achieve what I want for 99 I keep man. And yeah, and the last
I would have one person, I want to have the same one.
You call him out.
No. I think the reach out need to continue to that person. Like
absolutely. Focus the resources, so we can make sure we
find out what's going on right there.
Perfectly said. And the last question is, I'm making plans for improving business or career. 95%. I love it. Guys, thank you so much. The next session is going to be focusing on self-care is self-love, being single in the time of COVID. We're talking about everything, all right? Everything that relates to life and good living. You understand? Sasco, why are you laughing?
Yeah, that's tough. I can imagine.
Say again? That's tough, right?
Yeah, I can imagine.
You can imagine. So next week, Wednesday, we're going to come back for another Wellness Wednesday session. We're starting what time, everybody? 6:30 p.m. And we're going to have another fabulous set of posts.
Well, I see somebody from Kintyre a while ago. Sorry, man.
Somebody did from Kintyre earlier.
What you mean? Let me see who now. Was who they here from Kintyre? I see Kintyre a while ago.
Say it again. Whoever it is, say it again so Sasco can see and connect.
Oh, see the Diane.
Diane O.
Diane the building, what you mean? Big up. All right, banks of the work. Yeah.
So next week's session is self-care is self-love. So please come back. And in the meantime, I believe that you can find a replay of tonight's epic launch of our live class in the private Facebook group created. So listen, next week, grab a friend, right? Join the private Facebook group, grab 2 or 5 or 20 or 30 friends next week and come back for the good energy conversation and the Thrive Together live class. Remember to use the hashtags JN Live Class, hashtag JN Strong, hashtag, which other one? Hashtag Wellness Wednesday, hashtag JN Cares. Okay?
So on behalf of the panelists and everyone on here, Kamala, I need to tell you, expects them to happen.
Listen, taunt. I've made it. Sasco, some glasses up and I've made it, guys. Thank you. I got these right here from JA, so big up the place, right?
Connect.
Thank you. So guys, good energy again next week. Bring a friend, log on, and we're going to have an awesome convo. And remember, it's a 7-part series. We're focusing on man and woman story, Mars versus Venus, parenting, masculinity, all good stuff. So thank you so much. Am I missing anything to my JN colleagues? Can I just thank the entire JN Circle, JN Group family for the behind the scenes support and for making this happen. Thank you to Kevin, my IT specialist who has my back on this live tonight. And to all of you who brought the good energy. Sasco, we ended with the perfect guest. Thank you for the hope, right? Thank you for the words of advice. Thank you for the vulnerability. Like that's powerful and that's needed right now, you know? So much love and respect to you for making the time to come on and for being present in our space. I'm kind of sense a little life coaching, something that go on in your life. So yeah. So we close off tonight. Sasco, you want to give us a little line of something that you're working on? I don't know. You want to preview something before we go?
Today is no what is Wednesday night. This, which means tomorrow is the release of the first single from the new project.
What?
It's called Loco. But I think at this time, I think it's a couple lines from the. Wait, which one?
What lines you feel like?
Album. Strong Guys and Reggaetivity, I think. And I think it would suit the setting now to say, give thanks for your obstacles in our way, cause the hurdles teach you to jump. If everything did smooth every day, we wouldn't know we could overcome. Say if it don't kill way,
hey,
I surely know it's gonna build way. It's gonna make we stronger. Love and respect. Stronger right now. Listen.
Stan, JN Strong. Much love, Sasco. We love you. Much love, Tracey-Ann Gutzmore. We love you. And follow the people and follow Tracey-Ann Gutzmore. I think it's at Gutzmore Concepts. Follow me if you want to hear more about me, right? I'm at White Lotus Blooms. Let's just spread the love and come back next week with 50 friends and make it even greater. From all of us here at the JN Circle, Thrive Together Life class, much love and many thanks for joining us. Sasco, we hope to see you in class again, you know, because you're going good tonight.
All right.
So I'll have my people reach out to your people.
all right, fair enough.
Fair enough, right? Thank you so much. So have a great rest of the evening. Share up the things then, use the hashtags and come back for more good energy for the rest of the 7-week series. Much love.
All right.
Bye, buddy.